What are trends? Okay, there are three types of trends. You have the uptrend, the sideways trend, and the downtrend. And the trend is nothing more than the general direction of a stock's price over a period of time. Uptrends are marked by, rising price points, such as higher highs and higher lows. To the contrary, downtrends are marked by, falling price points that lead to lower highs and lower lows. Sideways trends is basically considered consolidation. It's neutral. So if a stock is trading sideways, then that means it hasn't taken on a direction yet, per se. It hasn't broke to the upside or the downside, but that is something that you keep a close eye on because a stock isn't going to consolidate forever. And at some point, it will break to the upside or the downside. And you want to try to be as close to predicting that as you can, um, so that you can find a good entry and exit point, right? So, generally speaking, a stock will always be in one of those three directions. Okay. So, when you hear terms like trend reversal, that only means that if the stock is going to the downside, it's hit a point where it has bounced up and is now heading towards the upside. So that would be a trend reversal, a reverse direction. But being able to identify the trend and trend reversals is vital to, getting good entry and exit points. Um, Trends are like they're very important because for the most part, they help investors decide when to buy and sell a stock. So you can buy a stock during an uptrend just to ride the momentum and ride the wave up, because momentum trading is a real thing. So on the other hand, you might avoid um, on the other hand, you might avoid or buy puts during a downtrend. As I mentioned before, sideways trends are kind of unpredictable because the stock is bouncing between maybe a strong support and a strong resistance, so there's no direction. Um, so you basically just keep an eye on that till until it breaks to it breaks outside of one of those stages. You know what I mean? And even once it breaks outside of one of those stages, you want to make sure and confirm that it's heading in the direction that it looks like it's heading in. Because just because it break a little bit above support, a little bit excuse me, a little bit below support or a little bit above resistance doesn't mean that it's headed straight up or straight down. Sometimes it reverse even from um, that point. So let's see. I want to show you an example of what an uptrend would look like. Right. So when it comes to spotting an uptrend in this example, you're basically looking for higher highs and higher lows. So I'm looking for uh the high points that stand out, right? So if you look to the far left where the line started at, that was a high. And as you go to the right, you see that the other highs are higher than that high, right? And you can clearly see maybe 3 points, that three high points, right? That line has hit. So that's higher highs. If you look at the bottom, right, those are the low points. But as you can see, as you go to the right, each low point is higher than the previous low point. So that would indicate a higher low, right? And I'm looking at this on a day chart, right? Because um, the day chart, as you can see, if you look at the bottom, it goes all the way back to 2022 of September of 2022 up until today. So I get a view of the bigger picture. And when it comes to trying to spot trends, you see the real trend when you look at it from a bigger picture perspective versus looking at um, maybe just one day, right? That's not going to tell you how a stock is trending over a long period of time. It'll tell you how it's trending for that day, right? So you look, you look for the direction. You look at the line direction. As you see these blue lines, both of them are pointed up, so that would indicate an upward trend. Um, so okay, that's the uptrend. Show you an example of what a sideways trend would look like. Also, consider consolidation. And in this particular example, as you can see, the lines are running straight across. So the bottom line would be considered support, right? The top line would be considered resistance. And as you can see, for the most part, right? For the most part, from between October and November of 2024 up until today, this stock has been trading between the same range. It's been trading between, um, let's say $8, 8.38, and maybe 11.48, 11.50, close to that range. It's been trading in between that since last year, right? So that's why it's trading sideways, right? It hasn't um, broke to the upside or the downside. But at some point, right? At some point, this stock is gonna break between one of these points. Either it's gonna break above that resistance line that's at the top, or it's gonna break below that support line that's at the bottom, right? And keeping an eye on that and watching when that happens could be the difference between you getting in at a great entry point, right? Or getting out at a good exit point, depending on, when you get in. So if you look like right now, this stock is at $9.05, right? And it has hit the blue line at the top quite a few times. So let's see, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8 times in since since around between October and November of last year. So it's at 909. You can almost assume that it's probably gonna test that range again and go back up to 1148, possibly. And once it get to that point, you're gonna have to wait to see if it's gonna break through it or bounce down like it's done the previous 8 times that it has touched it, right? So that's why when it comes to sideways trends, you kind of like just wait it out. I mean, you can take advantage of the price action that occurs in between those points. So just like it's at $9.05 now, if you see an indication that it's headed to test where it has tested the previous 7 or 8 times again, then you can potentially gain um to what, $2.43 per share, possibly, even if it just tests that range that is tested before, even without it breaking through. And in the options world, a $2.43 move is gold, right? But this is what a sideways trend would look like, right? So let's see to the next one. All right. So this is a downtrend, right? And it's basically the opposite of the uptrend. So, as you can see, we have lower highs and lower lows. So if you look all the way to the left where the blue line starts, that's our high, right? And if you follow it all the way down, each peak, right? Each peak point that you see going down is lower than the previous one for the most part, right? So that's lower highs. Each high after that initial one has been lower, right? If you look at the bottom, you have the lows. Each each low has been lower than the previous one, right? And it's if you follow the lines are pointed down. So that would be a downward trend. That's a downtrend. Um, it's kind of like I mean, if you think about it, like even this, right? Think about it like some stairs. Like when you look at a set of stairs, if you drew a line over the top of the stairs and a line underneath the bottom, right? That's what it'll look like this. It's like you walking down a set of stairs. Just like the uptrend. It'll look like you walking um up a set of stairs. And when stock don't just move in like a straight line. That's why you see all of these peaks, these little points or whatever. And all of I'm doing right now is connecting points, right? I'm connecting the points that stand out, the peaks, right? Because they all look like little mountains, and I'm connecting the little mountain peaks, right? The ones that stand out the most. And stock goes up constantly, you know. So, um, this is one way to just identify, like, this is the easiest way, I'll say, to just identify whether, the direction that a stock is going in. There are other things you could use to confirm it. One of those things are, moving averages, which I'll make another video about that. That's an indicator. But I just wanted to make a video to kind of like show show this at its in its simplest form. You know what I'm saying? And I hope that this kind of like just gave you an idea of how it looks to chart a trend, right? And and by the way, I use TradingView for all of my charting. There are a few different places you probably can chart, like FinViz. I think some people use Thinkorswim. Webull has some great charts as well, but I chart all of my stuff on TradingView, and I do it because they have a lot of tools that help you with this. Like they have the trend line tool that helped me draw these straight lines because I know y'all don't think I can draw that straight with a mouse. Um, but yeah, so all of this comes from TradingView. When it comes to charting trends, I usually look at the day chart and I go out from that point. So I will probably look at the day chart, look at the weekly chart, 2 week chart, monthly chart, quarterly chart, so forth and so on. Because once again, you want to look at the bigger picture when you're talking about looking at trends, right? So I hope this helped, and if you all have any questions or anything, please feel free to comment or shoot me a message and we can talk about it. All right, thanks.